Hello and welcome to Bristol Health Cares. I'm your host, Kurt Barwis. I am the president and CEO of Bristol Health. This program is for you. And it's really about trying to answer questions you may have and really didn't know who to ask. We are going to bring to you professionals, doctors, surgeons, other healthcare professionals, maybe people that you've never talked to before or met before. But the goal is to really help you understand how to access care when you need it. This program is really for you. So if there is something that you want to learn about or a guest that you'd like me to host on this show, write us and we'll try to make that happen for you. So enjoy the program, Bristol Health Cares. Hi, I'm Kurt Barwis and welcome to this episode of Bristol Health Cares. And again, we have this amazing special guest with us today, Lynn Gagnon. Lynn was the executive director of the Bristol Health Foundation for years, and she's here today with us to tell us about her journey. Right. So you were the executive director. Tell us about that role.
I was the executive director. I started in 2016. I had about 15 years of fundraising experience through United Way and other nonprofit organizations, but you pulled me out of there and went to the hospital, and I had always wanted to work at Bristol Hospital. So it was a new experience for me, a different fundraising experience, but I absolutely loved it. I was there for 5 years until I retired in 2021, and I have the best memories of working at Bristol Health. So.
And you still pretty much do a lot of things for the hospital still.
I do.
And by the way, we all have the best memories of you working there and memories that will continue because we're making more and more of them.
So I'm lucky I have an entertainment background. So emceeing is my thing. I love to talk. And so even though I'm retired, I come back to the hospital and I MC the service awards, Profiles in Medicine twice a year, which is the doctor's celebration, and also the cancer survivorship event. And anytime you need me, I would come back and do whatever you asked me to do, because I love
it.
that.
And you do such a good job with those events, and those are all very special events.
They are.
And you make them even more special.
Thank
so
you.
we are very, very appreciative of that.
And we'll be together tonight.
Tonight we have Profiles in Medicine. and just for the viewing audience, we try to get the doctors together with their spouses at least twice a year, sometimes 3 times a year. And it's an opportunity for them to kind of get together out of work and get to know each other and kind of bond. And it's pretty exciting. And they have some pretty fun things that they do, right?
Tonight we have something really fun.
I don't know anything about it tonight, but I can tell you they've had troops from New York come in and do improv and getting the doctors up on the stage out of their comfort zone is quite funny to hear and experience.
Love it. So much fun.
So now, so you've been on your own life journey too, on top of all of the rest that you've done, and you've remained positive and really fought a pretty good battle.
I did.
So talk a little bit about that.
So in 2017, and I had only been at the foundation for less than a year, I went for my mammogram and ultrasound, and they found that I had DCIS, which is breast cancer in the milk ducts. And I had it in 2 separate areas, so I couldn't just do a lumpectomy. Dr. Sayre was my surgeon, and he went to the tumor board, and they recommended unilateral, is that what it's called, mastectomy. And then I went through the reconstruction and everything else. So that was in 2017. It's considered stage 0. So once I got out of that, I didn't have to do any radiation, just went on anastrozole, the hormone therapy. That was it. So I thought I was done. And then 2 years later, I started experiencing some severe pain in my right side and in my right shoulder. So I went to the ER because I wasn't getting answers from some of the other docs. So went to the ER, and Deandra, she's like, oh, it's probably just your gallbladder, because sometimes shoulder pain and that pain, it's all gallbladder. Well, when Dr. Gentile ever walked in and said, oh, his face, I felt so sorry for him. He said, you have cancer, and showed me the slide. And at that point, all I could see was this like bead, like it's like a row of beads on my liver. So I thought immediately I had liver cancer, but it was in my back too. And it was just the worst night of my life. And the interesting thing about that, Kurt, is I made one phone call to Trish Rinaldi up in the OR, and within 5 minutes, her, Dr. Sayre, Dr. Black, and Karen, our former nurse navigator, were all in my office, all in my room. They did a biopsy, and then I had my appointment with Dr. Black, the following Wednesday. This was a Friday night, to see what the results were. Well, I get to work at the foundation on Monday morning, and Dr. Battioli, he calls and said, have you eaten anything in the past 2 hours? And I said, no. And he said, you got to come down, I got to redo your biopsy. So walk on down, redo the biopsy, get back to work. And so then Wednesday morning, when I met with Dr. Black, he said I had stage 4 metastatic breast cancer that had traveled to my liver and my spine. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So many of the people that you've talked about are still at the hospital.
Oh, yeah.
Deanna's now running the ER.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I love those ladies.
Which is really kind of the special thing about it, is it's the community, and you get to know everybody very well.
Yeah, yeah.
So you went from the first round, thought everything was good.
Yeah.
But then somehow it spread.
Yeah, and it was a new cancer.
Oh, it was a new
Dr.
cancer.
Sayre made sure he found out about that. Dr. Leskish, who's retired but was in pathology, he went down and looked at all my slides. It was a brand new cancer. So it wasn't like they missed something the first time around.
Sure.
It was a new cancer. And
so then you went through this, what am I going to do about it? And how you're going to get the treatment. So how did that all play out for you?
So he told me about this treatment plan called Cleopatra, which mixed chemo with 2 other drugs, Herceptin and Perjeta. And I said, okay. Then I did go to Yale, and I got a second opinion with Dr. Mugalian, who's a renowned breast cancer doctor. And she was going to give me the same treatment plan, exactly the same. And when I went to that facility, it was just too big. I actually got sick to my stomach just looking at those infusion chairs. It was like a stadium. And then you come back to Bristol. Oh, it's so beautiful in there, and it's private, and it's just comfortable. So I quickly, on the drive home from New Haven, made the decision I'm getting my care at Bristol Hospital, because they had the same treatment plan. Why wouldn't I do that? Right? And Dr. Black is fantastic. My nurses are fabulous. Every nurse that works in there is great. Deb is my nurse, so I love her. Yeah, they've been with me on this journey since 2019.
So that's a long journey and a good journey.
It is.
So
yeah.
I think a lot of people don't realize that once a tumor, a cancer is really kind of identified and staged, any treatment center is going to follow the guidelines.
Yes.
And then they have to actually prove that they followed the guidelines. Right. So what you just identified was, wherever you go, they're going to follow the same treatment protocols.
Exactly.
And for patients, it's really about finding, from my own sense of it, finding where you feel comfortable, where you feel trust in your oncologist and the team that's taking care of you. Yeah. And, for some people, being in that major center is great for them. and for some other people, being in your own home community with people maybe you went to school with, high school with, or grew up with, is what makes them comfortable. And I've had that conversation so many times with individuals who think, well, and sometimes it's not the person that's getting treated. Sometimes it's the spouse or the family member or the kids are saying, why aren't you going to this place, or why aren't you going to this place? But it all comes back to, unless you're failing the protocols and you're failing and you need clinical trials that are very different, having it done in your own community is just fine. You're going to get the same care.
I mean, working all those years in the foundation, that was the best part about my job, was meeting so many intelligent people, the doctors, the nurses, and the administrative staff. And I just felt comfortable. I felt like I was home when I'm at the Cancer Care Center. Yeah, and I don't, people say, oh, you got to go to the Cancer Care Center. I say, no, I got to go to the Cancer Care Center. I get to read, I get to talk to everybody, and it's not a burden. It's a life-saving mechanism, so you have to be happy when you're there. You can't be sad.
It's interesting, we have volunteers that staff the center, and they love being there as well, because they can interact with the patients and really get that feeling that they're making a difference in people's lives.
Yeah, Mary's our Tuesday volunteer, and she's fantastic.
So you even do the Tuesday volunteer. And you probably have your own little clique of people that go in on Tuesdays or whenever that is.
I do.
Yeah, that is so nice. Fun. So you could catch up and all. So you mentioned the nurse navigator. So how did that person play into your journey?
My original nurse navigator was when I had my mastectomy. She came and sat with me when I had to go for either an MRI or a CAT scan. She checked in with me. She made all my appointments around events at the foundation and Dr. Sayer's schedule. So we made it all work. And then once I moved over to the Cancer Care Center in 2019, instead of Beakley. So Karen was at the Beakley Center. So at the Cancer Care Center, my latest treatment that I'm on, I have a whole team behind me, and it really, really reassures my decision to stay with Bristol Hospital Cancer Care Center. Yeah,
it's a very special place, and I hear that from so many people, and it means a lot to me that people feel comfortable, coming there. That was one of the first projects. I don't know, you weren't at the foundation, but when I first came in 2006, the Cancer Care Center was on the drawing board, and one of the first questions that, I don't know if you remember this, but it used to be the accounting department.
I don't remember that.
And and it was quite interesting because it was a lot of money to build it, and move everything. And so that was one of the first things the board had asked me was, so what are we going to do? Are we going to do it, or aren't we going to do it? And I think the question mark was, how would we staff it? Where we had to recruit doctors. We went through. We initially had an affiliation with Yale at that point in time, but the decision was to go forward. And to this day, the only regret I have is we can't make it bigger.
I'm just glad that it was built before I had to use it.
There you go. Now, so the Healing Garden was the next big fundraiser that we did. And that was hard because we didn't have a lot of money back then. But I have a picture in my mind how you can do this to make it even, keep that feel. If you put glass over the Healing Garden and made that a waiting area, and then you also expand it to include radiation oncology, for example. Right there in the same area, so you're sharing everybody.
That would be really cool if they did that.
So during your journey, you did have to go back down to Yale, right, for different treatments?
So exactly a year after I was diagnosed. So I was diagnosed in the fall of 2019. In the fall, almost to the date of 2020, I started to get some severe headaches, like where you just move your head and it was just sharp, sharp pain. So Dr. Black sent me for a brain MRI. And the story on that is, the foundation office, I used to have to walk to the hospital. So I walked to get my brain MRI. And I didn't even get back to the office when he called me, or his staff called me to say, Dr. Black wants to see you immediately. And I said, nope, he's not seeing me immediately, because tonight I'm hosting the service awards, and I want to be happy, and I want to have a natural smile and a happy attitude at the service awards. So my husband and I will come in and see him tomorrow morning. And that's what we did.
Oh, my.
And then that's when he said, you have tumors on your brain. And again, it was like a string of pearls on my brain, the whole back of my brain. So I stayed with Bristol. I went to Dr. Ravelis, and they are part of the Lever Center out of Waterbury. So I went up to Waterbury, got my skull cap fit, and then started it was just 2 or 3 weeks of intense radiation on the brain. But you will appreciate this as my boss. So you know where the foundation is.
Somehow I'm not sure anybody's going to believe that I'm your boss. They can clearly get the picture that you're the boss in this relationship.
So the radiation center was within walking distance of the foundation. So I would go at 8:30 was my appointment. I'd go and get my radiation, and I'd leave, go home, change, shower, be back in the office by 10 o'clock.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't skip a beat.
So you didn't have, you hear people that have severe nausea and all kinds of other issues.
No, just the headaches.
Just the headaches.
Yeah. And I think Ravelis put me on steroids, and then, Tylenol and all that to help with that. But so that was that. And then, when you have a diagnosis like this, part of the process is getting scanned every 3 months. So I get a CAT scan, echocardiogram, and now a brain MRI every 3 months. So it was probably 6 months later, and I had a brain MRI, and Dr. Black said, you have some new metastases. And at that point, I had to switch my brain health to Yale, because they do a procedure called the gamma knife procedure, which is, it sounds worse than it is. They should just call it the gamma ray procedure instead of knife. But it's a very focused radiation, focuses only on that tumor that has grown. And that's a scary thing, Kurt. They come out with a drill, they drill your head, and it's an awful thing. But since 2020, I have had 5 of those. So every time there's a new growth, I'd have to go back down and do another gamma knife.
Well, I can tell you one thing. It's really kind of amazing to me. When you tell me you had the gamma knife 5 times, you've had radiation for weeks, all on your brain.
All in my brain.
And you're just so aware, and you're like an encyclopedia of every single thing and date and time that happened to you.
Yeah.
So with all of that going on,
you
haven't lost any of your cognitive ability. It's amazing.
A little bit. And my kids will say, Mom, you already told me that story. Or,
but that's just part of old age too. I get that from my kids too. Come on.
The one thing I was dealing with is a lack of balance. So recently I went to Rehab Dynamics in the Medical Care Center, and met with Caitlin, and we worked for about 3 months on my balance. And it works. And she sent me home. I have a whole book of exercises to do and equipment to use to keep my balance. I take a tap class on Monday nights. And when I do, though, I hold on to a bar for all of our warm-ups, because to just stand there and tap, it's a little hard, because dancing was a huge part of my life.
You were a pretty extraordinary dancer. I think I did see a clip of you and Bob Barker at the beginning of the... and you were dancing around him, if I remember correctly.
I got all the front rows.
Yes, you did, because you were exquisite, and you probably still are very good at it.
Not really, because
I'm sure that's
the memory,
not true.
like, what was that step? And then the balance a little off. But I'm still trying. I'm still doing what I love, and I think that's a good message for today. Is that if you're given a cancer diagnosis, you don't stop living. If anything, you live more. You do the things that you love to do.
Yeah. You've taken some real journeys since your diagnosis too.
Yeah, I have. My
And
friends.
are all about them.
Yeah,
I mean,
they have an RV, so we've gone cross country on the first one. Then we went down to Florida to Key West. We've been to Hawaii together.
But you didn't do that in the RV.
No. And then the last one was Lake Michigan.
Lake Michigan.
And we stopped in Chicago where my daughter lives, so I got to spend Mother's Day with my daughter. And then went up to Lake Michigan and then Niagara Falls. It was a beautiful, beautiful trip.
That's a place I've never been to Niagara Falls.
You have to go.
I keep hearing about that.
You have to go.
See that? I mean,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
So the message you just gave is to live.
Yeah.
And from a person that has observed you, your journey's been long. 2017 is
To now, yeah.
what, 8 years ago, more than 8 years ago.
Yeah.
You have retained this very positive, very, happy outlook. You said earlier that happiness matters, and
does.
you've tried to maintain that, and the closeness with your family, your kids, and your journey has been extraordinary. It's just absolutely extraordinary.
Yeah, it really has, Kurt, because that first diagnosis was you have maybe 1.5 to 2 years to live. So I didn't let that stop me. And I'm lucky. I'm lucky because the treatments worked on my body. So, not everybody has that kind of blessing where the treatments work. So I'm lucky my body reacted positively. Even though some of the treatments were hard, that first initial 5 or 6 months when it was chemo, it was hard.
Yeah.
I had a lot of the lymphedema in my leg. I gained 30 pounds. But it all came off. I went to a lymphedema specialist, started walking more and doing more, and it did eventually come off. I still deal with it a little bit.
Yeah.
And, there's just so many things that being at Bristol made sense. Little things, Kurt, like when you started having problems with my nails, and Dr. Sayer brought me into his office and had to actually take one off and, fix it. Neutropenia, where your white blood count, your red blood count is off. I actually spent Thanksgiving 2019 in the hospital with neutropenia. But again, it was okay because I knew all the nurses. I think you came to visit me, even though I didn't want a lot of visitors. Chris Ann came to visit me, and I battled it. My kids were able to come in and see me that day, but they were all, what is that called? When you have to put the gowns and the masks. So I was wearing masks before COVID, before it became popular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Mary Lynn, first and foremost, thank you for sharing your journey with us. I think sharing your experiences and your journey is so important and really makes a difference. And the other thing is, thank you for sharing your time.
Thank you.
And your energy with us. Because it really does make a difference to the Bristol Health family. There's absolutely no question about it.
I do want to have the last word, Kurt.
Go right ahead.
So recently I saw John Baptiste's wife on a talk show, and she's been through a cancer journey too. And she said the worst advice people can give you is to live each day like it's your last. That's the worst advice. So how you should live your life is to live each day like it's your first.
Yeah.
And
that seems like sage advice to anybody.
Is. And to just have a grateful attitude, to wake up. I wake up and say, thank you, Lord, for another day. And I go to bed naming all the things I'm grateful for. And I think having a grateful attitude helps you to get through.
Wow. And we are grateful for you. I can tell you that. There's 1,800 people back at the shop that are grateful to have you as part of their lives. So thank you so much. So this has been Bristol Health Cares. You can write us at cares@bristolhospital.org if you have any suggestions for the show. And I totally appreciate you joining us. I hear a lot when I'm shopping and going around the stores from people about different episodes. And a special thank you to Nutmeg TV. As I've said in the past, without community support, Nutmeg wouldn't be here. And a lot of the funding that came through the cable TV program in the state got cut because everybody's cutting the cord. And so they need your help now more than ever. So please, please, please support this amazing organization and the crew that's here, and making sure that community information is shared, and you have a place to really kind of connect with the community if you're at home at any time. So thank you again. Until the next episode, this is Kurt Barwitz. Thank you.